Yeah, so again, the topic for today is 9 must-have elements of a website. Now, why 9? You'd say we just have to come up with a certain number, but there's probably 10 or 11 or 12 or 15. But these are just 9 components of any website that needs your attention, and it will really help you make your website more effective for your business. So I'm just going to skip this slide. Maybe it'll be sent out to you when you receive the packets once we're done here. But this is a little bit of an overview of what Ansi is, and most of you already know this. But yeah, we work on websites and we work on digital marketing, online marketing, and that's keeps us very busy at the moment. So that's really great. So yeah, what are some of the things that we're going? Oh, before I get started here, I should introduce the 2 other members of Edge that are on this call. So we have Caitlin. She is our content strategist, and she works on a lot of messaging for clients on the actual content on websites and print projects. So Katie joined us last year, and she's been a fantastic asset to our company. And then we have Jason. Now, some of you may know Jason as well. Jason is our technical web guru. I haven't seen anything that we've thrown at him that he wasn't able to do. So he's extremely talented, and he's gonna stay on the call a little bit for any technical questions that may come up that are more down his alley compared to more general observations about the website. So okay, so that having that out of the way, we'll just continue on here. So we look at the website as your the foundation of your total online presence. So whatever you do online, generally speaking, funnels back to your website, and that's why the website is so important. We're going to talk a little bit about what are some of the functions of your website, and of course that will vary by client or by your own organization. But there's some general things that we generally look at when we put together a website or we talk to clients about it. So we'll talk about that a little bit, and then we talk about the actual 9 elements of a successful website. So these are just 9 practical things that we try to build into to a website, and we recommend that you would do the same thing. Now, again, there's more things you can do, but these are some really important elements that you can actually should focus on first, I think. And then once you get past that, then you can start even go deeper and add more things to it. But then we want to make this as interactive as possible. So if you have any questions during the presentation, by all means, put them in the chat box, or better yet, just unmute your microphone and just ask the question. We're totally okay with that. This is supposed to be an interactive session, and we want to answer your questions. And everybody has a slightly specific background, perhaps, and a purpose of all this. So we'd love to hear from you on that. So I already mentioned it, like your online marketing presence. So that's really for a lot of our clients, and that's probably the same for you. Your website is probably the first point of contact for most of your clients. It can also be a continuous source of information that people go back to your website to do certain things or to download certain information. Everything starts with the website, and everything kind of links back to the website. So in this little diagram with the circles, kind of gives an illustration of some of these things. And now we've talked about some of these things in some of our other webinars, and I always I'm aware that we use a lot of lingo and acronyms that may or may not resonate with you. So in advance I want to apologize for that, because we try to be as clear as possible. But the PPC stands for pay per click, for example. So that's the Google advertising. So you're paying to expose your business to your clientele. So that's called PPC. Now, what does a pay per click ad, a Google ad, do, or a Facebook ad? It generally directs you back to the website where the transaction takes place. So that's one area. Then there's the SEO, and that stands for search engine optimization. And again, we've had a whole webinar on that a couple weeks ago. basically means like what can you do to have your website show up better in the searches, like when people searching for your service you provide or the product you provide, how can you actually increase your visibility for your target audience. So that's the SEO part. And again, the whole purpose of SEO is to direct people back to your website. Then there's social media, of course. There's a lot of talk about social media, and it's being used by billions of people. Again, we see the social media as an outreach medium, so it's kind of a broadcast medium, getting your, I hate to say this, but like getting your name out there. That's kind of, it's more of a broadcast uh, advertising platform in our opinion. So it's not as specific, but you can create awareness, a general awareness, which is really important, and oftentimes the first step into to getting a new client to like and trust you. Again, not a lot of transactions take place on social media necessarily. It's more the awareness, and from there you point people to your website. You know, if you sell a product online, if you want an inquiry, if you have valuable information on the website that you want people to download, then you want to direct them back to the website. So again, it all comes back to the website. And then the fourth bubble there is the email marketing, and that's very specific, sending out emails to your clients or to your prospects. And what do you want them to do? Well, you want them to go to the website to finalize the transaction generally. So the website plays a lot of different roles, and that's why it's so important to put it together properly for you to be successful with it. So this is a little bit an overview of how we see digital marketing or marketing in general, and digital and traditional marketing are very, they have very similar purposes, of course. In reality, right now, at least for most of our clients, the digital marketing is where 95% of the activity is around, because everything is online. People are searching online. People are spending a lot more time online. So some of the more traditional advertising platforms have a really hard, difficult time to adjust, right? Like newspapers, TV, even radio is kind of in transition and trying to figure out how they can stay relevant. So this is just an overview of 7 areas of a business that we feel need to be addressed. And if you, as a small business owner or an organization, can take care or like start working in some of these areas, you're going to be miles ahead of everybody else. So again, I'm not going to go through this in detail, but a bit of like this is coming up over the next couple months. So we're basically going to go step by step. May take a little break in the summer, I'm not sure. But we want to go step by step through these 7 areas. So today is the first in this series, and that has all to do with the website that builds trust. So that's what I want to show you the context of where the website fits in your overall marketing strategy. So what are some of the things that a website needs to accomplish? Well, not everybody that lands on your website or touches your brand or your company is ready to make the purchase decision right now and here. So there's definitely a percentage of people that would land on the website and they're ready to buy or to make an inquiry, and that's fantastic, right? You need to capture those people and make sure that it's really easy to deal with your business. Now, but there's also like a large percentage actually of people that may use the website, your website, for different purposes. For example, even if after they've heard about you and see, well, you're a potential provider of that service. Now you still need to make sure that they have enough information to actually make a like trusting you as a potential provider. So that individual or this visitor to your website is not ready to buy today necessarily, but we need to make sure that we have something for them as well. And then it kind of this diagram here kind of shows you the customer journey. That's a lot of in marketing we talk a lot about the customer journey, because it is definitely not always a linear kind of a step-by-step process, right? So that like this diagram is almost a little bit deceiving because not everybody goes to these neat little steps one by one. But we know that everybody that you're interacting with, like some of your prospects or some of your stakeholders, they're somewhere on this line, okay, and they're somewhere on the journey with you, and that's kind of a good way of looking at it. So they're basically you're dating your clients before they actually before you get married, before they actually make the purchase decision. So we need to make sure that we on the website we have relevant information for the different for your different clients that are in different stages of this journey. That ultimately, hopefully, by leads into purchasing your product. Now, again, when I say purchasing your product, it could also be becoming a member, right? Like there's a few not-for-profits on this call. So again, same principle, but you want them to sign up to become a member, for example, right? So that's your goal. So so these are some of the corresponding kind of um, you know, like some of the activities that we actually, if we go back to this diagram, there's actually specific activities that we should be considering to make that connection with that client or that potential client. So, Katie, do you want to just briefly go through this?
Yeah, definitely. So there, like we kind of had mentioned before, there's several different things that your website should be able to accomplish based on the content, the actual text or videos or anything you have on your website should be able to accomplish for both you and your clients or customers. So one of the first things is to be, of course, to be found to, again, kind of starting the journey with your customers is getting to know your companies or organizations. So that has to do a lot with how your search engine optimization is on your website, how well you rank on search engines. And then another step in the journey is kind of getting to trust your company, getting people to trust your company, to know that you have the solution for them. So this is kind of acknowledging and validating their problems and kind of, again, proving that you can provide the solution to their problems. And another step is, again, to educate. So tell them about your business, what you have to offer, again, elaborating on that solution that your company has. And again, as Peter kind of mentioned, not everyone's on the same step, not everyone's ready to buy. So your website should have content that's able to kind of nurture and build relationships over time up until the point they are ready to make a purchase. So that's something like capturing emails, and then kind of going back and forth through email campaigns to kind of build that relationship, providing value to your customers. And then again, to the end point is, again, to get that sale. So you want to have a strong call to action, and getting them to make the purchase.
Yeah. So that's kind of like an overview of what those different phases could mean, and it could be a way different for your organization, but it's a really good overview of some of the things that you should think about. Because yeah, ultimately you have a goal with your marketing, right? And for most clients, that is to get more clients, right? So so you just need to keep that in mind that you have different things for different people. Because there's actually there's a fair bit of websites that we see that we look at or when clients come to us first that don't really have the clear call to action, for example, right? They have to give all the information, but there's actually then the customer is left with, well, what is next? What do I have to do, right? So what we find works really well if you're very specific about the next step you want them to take, and even use the words that they would use. So be very clear, like for example, like book a consultation, like contact is fine, contact us. But if you can make it even more specific, so you tell your visitors, hey, if you click on this button, you can have a free consultation, for example. So you know your customers know what's going to be next, and that's we feel that's really important that they are comfortable clicking on through on your website, because that's of course ultimately the goal. Because people are definitely a little skeptical, to say the least, when it comes to clicking things or to downloading things, right? So we need to be aware of that, and we need to the simpler we can make it. And there's nothing to do with that they're not smart people. It's just to have everything to do with the very limited of time that they have to make some of those decisions. So if you can help them along that journey, like for example, with like a 3-step, like as soon as you click this, there's 3 steps you need to take to make this happen, which is really quite a powerful way of guiding your clients through their purchase journey with you. So again, this is an overview of some of the things that like every business should look at or consider. Now, I realize it's really small. We probably will make this available if you're interested in as a handout after. But the kind of it shows a layout of an actual website and kind of where some of these elements live or could live, right? So element number 1 is the messaging. So again, repeating myself, we've done some specific workshops on fine-tuning your message, like actually coming up with that message. Now, again, that's really something that you want to use for sure on your website. Not only on your website, but your website is a really good place to have that displayed. So, Katie, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, definitely. So one key point that we like to focus on here at Edge when creating websites, creating a message that focuses on your client or donor if you're not for profit, kind of connecting with them, focusing in on their problem, and then stating your solution to them. So by focusing in on their problem, focusing on your customer or donor is going to help create a better connection with them. They're going to be like, oh, yeah, they actually understand what I need. So maybe they can provide the solution for us. So it's good to have that central core message on your website, especially right forefront, right at the top when they first land on your homepage, to have that kind of initial connection forming. And having that established messaging is also going to help kind of create content throughout the rest of your website, kind of having as the core basis of the rest of your content to kind of refer back to that core message. So we have with that, especially on a website, is having a headline that kind of like grabs their attention right away and kind of refers back to that core message, which we call the one-liner. It's kind of deceptive as it's not actually usually not one actual line or sentence. It's actual usually 2 to 3 sentences, kind of starting off with your customer's problem, then jumping into your solution and the kind of positive resolution that they might have when doing business with your business or organization. And then it's usually, like I said, usually included in the header, so the very top of the website. So again, it's kind of that initial connection created with your customer as soon as they land on your website there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's really important that we talk about our customer's problem, right? Not about our own, how good we are, although that has a place on the website as well. But the first thing that we want to speak in the language of your clients, and as soon as they see that the big bold title on your page, they know this is the right place. They're actually providing the service that I need, and that's again, if you look at a lot of websites, you would have to read up a little bit and see what they actually do. So the clarity in that messaging is really a really important aspect of your website. I'm just gonna check here with Katie. Like, is there anybody else in the waiting room, Katie? Can you check?
No.
Okay. Okay, so then, element number 2, what do you have to offer? And again, that goes back to the clarity of the content that you put on the website. It has been proven that the more clear you are about what it exactly is you're offering, and again, using words and phrases that your customer understands is really important, because even after they read, the one-liner, we call it, like the heading, the statement about your business, they still need to know, okay, well, what does that mean exactly? Or what are some of the practical examples of some of the product that you actually sell? So again, it confirms to them really quickly that they're in the right place. you don't want people to have to search for information, and that's always kind of a bit of a balancing act, because you don't want to put everything out in front on your homepage, for example. But you have to put enough there that people actually don't have to scroll down too much or have to click too deep into the website to find that information. So again, you want to capture their attention. You want to tell them what you do, and then basically you want them to do it, to take an action on the website. So either to book a consultation, if you do e-commerce, of course, like buy the product, get more information, all these things. We really clear call to action after that. So also talking about your product and service you provide will also help you with your SEO. So again, meaning you're probably will show up better for some of those phrases on Google. And again, that's very important, because if you don't have any content about a service or product on your website, it's very unlikely that you will organically show up for those search terms. So again, it's not only giving good information to the people that land on your website, it will also actually help you to improve the search visibility of your website as well, by being very specific about the products and services that you provide. Another element that we see a lot and is video. I mean, video consumption. Like, a lot of people love watching videos. They would watch a video before they actually would read anything. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, because like videos don't really help you to increase your search visibility, because Google cannot really see what's inside a video, although they're getting better at that. It's just a file that you have on your website. So there's not a lot you can do with that. But your customers actually will really love video. So we always feel if you can personalize and humanize your company more, video is a really great way to do that. Because guess what? And I think, do I have to click again to make the video play?
If you go to the next slide, yeah.
Oh, okay. So people already, before they even ever come to your location or even talk to anybody in your organization, they already have a bit of an idea about, okay, well, this is a group of people that, in Etch's instance, it's a group of people that works on these things. And of course, we're all happy and smiling and drinking coffee. So maybe it's a little bit over the top, but it gives you a really good sense of who we are as a company. And guess what? Like, if you actually would walk into our office, well, right now we're a little empty because some of us work from home. But in normal circumstances, you could relate to that. Like, you actually say, yeah, I already know these people, right? And which is really, in our opinion, really important to bring down some of those barriers, because we're all kind of nervous when we go into a new place or talk to a new company. Like, we may not know exactly what we're looking for, even, or what some of the terminology is. So we want to make people really comfortable right from the get-go and say, hey, this is who we are. We're not pretending to be somebody that we're not. Like, we're very authentic, and I think video can really do a really good job on that. And even if your videos, like, it's really great if you have a video person that can make a very professional video, and that's always, of course, preferred. But there's something to say about even having a little bit more authentic video that you actually shoot on like your own camera or even on your phone, right? And people are very used to that now. And some people argue that it actually, if you do your own video work, of course, it's a little hokier, like, and your camera is shakes and it's not as slick. But again, that tells them you're actually real. You're actually like them, and that's really, really important to make that connection with your clients. So what kind of videos can you produce? Of course, like a business introduction, you can talk about your product. You can have an explainer video, like a 2 or 3 minute video about, like a particular issue or a particular service that you provide. And again, some people prefer to watch a video over reading text on a website, right? So, and that kind of makes sense. So you have to cater to that. So instructional how-to videos. I mean, you can do you can be very creative. It doesn't matter what kind of business you're in. You can actually have some, like some very practical tips, or even a question that you get asked over and over again. Like, how do I fill in this form? Or like how does this exactly how do some of the tax rules work, or like what forms, what is the process if I go to your office, like what do I have to do to actually get the end results that I'm looking for. Testimonials, you see that often now too. Instead of just a written testimonial, it's a bit of it's a video testimonial. Again, it's a ton of work to get those. I get it, and some people are very camera shy. But if you have a few people that can do that, like you don't need hundreds of those either. Like if you have a two or three or four of your core clients that that are really comfortable with you, and again, it shows that you're working for real people, just like the people that are visiting your website. So. And there's lots more you can think about when you do video, but video is definitely like a good idea to have video. Now, the only drawback that and when we get to the last point in our presentation, it talks about the speed on your website, and Google is actually changing some of the emphasis that they're putting on speed of page speeds and loading of information. So videos actually take up a fair bit of bandwidth, of course, right? Because they're large files. So it actually putting too many videos on your website may actually slow that down. So it's definitely it's a balancing act of what kind of content you put on your website. And yeah, like with our clients, we're actually working through that right now because we can't just strip down a website to absolutely nothing, and because just for the page speed, like so the time it takes to load the page, but at the same time we want to be aware of like the website still needs to load fast. So there's a bit of a compromise, I think, sometimes, and that's something to keep in mind, I guess, but especially with video and images, because it takes some time to download those into the browser, of course. Trust and authority, again, that's a really important thing, and I think you've seen it on a lot of different websites, right? You can have the associations that you're part of that are known in your industry. Like we have some industrial clients and they have the API certification. Construction companies, building companies have the core certificate, for example. Those are all trust signals, and say, okay, well, you're actually certified with this. I understand what that means, what you had to go through to get there. And that's going to be a trust factor for actually dealing with you. So it's really smart to use some of those. Or like this example here has some actual clients that this company works with. And again, if you're in that industry, you actually go like, okay, yeah, like their Central City Asphalt is one of their clients. Well, they're just a company like us, right? I know the owners there, for example. So wherever you can make that connection with other with clients you work for or industry partners, it creates trust, right? So that's one example. The testimonials is another, of course, like a trust factor. People say nice things about you. And reviews actually are a really important trust factor these days. Things like Google reviews, Facebook reviews. People do read those reviews before they go and make contact with you, and don't think that's only for like the hospitality industry. It also goes for website development companies or building companies or a contractor. They want to know what other people's experience has been with your company. So awards, if you want an award, well, of course you want to make sure you want to highlight that, you want to emphasize that in your marketing. So yeah, those are just some examples of a place on the landing page that you can feature some of those. Now again, some industries this may be difficult just because of confidentiality. Also keep in mind that as soon as you put it on your website, your competitors know now as well which clients you have, which again, it's not the end of the world probably, but some people are a little bit hesitant about that. But just whatever you can do to have real people or real businesses review you or say things about you, it's a very important factor of people to take that next step and actually contact you or take the next action on the website or not, right? So just keep that in mind. The search engine optimization, again, that's another thing that you really need to pay attention to. Now, search engine optimization can get very technical fairly quickly, so I don't want to talk too much about the technical aspect, and that's more in the background anyway, so you wouldn't really see that from the front end. But even on the on the content itself, like the way you write things and you're using the right key phrases in your actual page text has a really it's a really important ranking factor for Google. Like 10 or 15 years ago, you could get away with just stuffing your page with a certain keyword, right? That worked for a short period of time, but over time, Google has become way more sophisticated, and they read pages on your website. They don't really look at those keywords so much. They read the text, and of course, this is an automated process. It's artificial intelligence. And Google is getting really, really good, I think, of reading text and looking at content and making a judgment call of what this company is about, what your company is about, and if they should include you in the search results for this particular term. So it's so that's on the front side. So that's actually baked into the content. And then on the back side, there's other things we can do. In the next slide, I think, is about that. But on the content itself, you want to make sure that you have enough content as well. Although you can argue people don't read content, which I think is to a large extent is true. But the fact is that Google will actually read those pages, so you still have to have like a certain amount of words on the page in order for you to rank better with Google. So there's a guideline there. It really depends on your business as well, but it's actually okay to have some text on your website, not just hide it in other menu items or clicks. Bullet lists, bullet lists are actually okay because first of all, Google understands what it is. If it's an overview of services you provide, they go, oh, this is a bullet list, so these are probably important things that this company is doing. So for Google, it's important or useful, but also for users as well, because it gets people a really quick overview of some of those bullet points. So again, we have a lot of questions around that oftentimes about, if bullet point text is okay, and we feel it is because of what I just said. Yeah, so again, you can also, graphics and videos. Again, we already talked about it a little bit. Adds value to that as well, and making sure that you have content. The best strategy when it comes to search engine optimization, showing up on Google or on Bing or whatever else a search engine you're using, is good content, good valuable content that's relevant to your clients. If you start there, then a lot of the other things you're going to do with your marketing are going to be a lot easier. So and the opposite is true as well. Like if you have no content, or you have content that's very hyper optimized with all the keywords but reads really awkward, that's a really bad strategy, because Google wants to give the best experience to their clients, which are the people that are searching for things. So these are some of the more technical things. And again, we had a webinar on this a couple of weeks ago. The page titles are important. That's an important indication for Google, again, for, okay, what is this page about? So make sure you put the right key phrases in, or use the right words. It's a valuable piece of real estate that you should utilize. Descriptions of the pages, the meta tags. So again, it's behind the scenes. So your visitor will not see these descriptions, but Google looks at those. Again, you have an opportunity to tell Google what this page is about, which is fantastic. Page titles, make sure that we use very descriptive page titles. I talked about it a little bit earlier. Don't try to be clever necessarily, but try to be clear about what you do, and using the same language that your clients would use to look for your service. Another idea is, or a good practice, is to actually put, it's called an alt tag. So it's a description of an image, because again, Google cannot actually look inside an image and see what it's about yet. Although again, I'm sure they're working on that. But you as the owner, you can actually have the opportunity to put your own tags in there. So you can actually make, if it's an image of a like a website development project, you can put those words in there. So it actually, Google can actually make a judgment call and say, okay, that this is related to this topic. And then because like on the bottom example there with edge marketing, that's that little blurb underneath there. That is actually something that we put in ourselves, and Google picks up on those things most of the time. There's always the exceptions that Google goes onto a page and actually grabs another piece of text. And if you don't put anything in those tags, then they will do that. And then sometimes it's okay. They do a pretty good job. Other times they just focus on the wrong information. So again, it's a missed opportunity to improve that ranking and that authority online. Um, Calls to action. We already talked about it a little bit. Katie, you want to say a few things about that?
Yeah, definitely. So, like as I kind of mentioned before, it's really important to give an action to your customers because you're eliminating that thought for them. You're kind of making it the process easier for them. So, people are more likely to kind of remain passive if they are not actually challenged to make a change or to take an action. So, they need psychologically at least to be given an action to take if in order to actually take one. So in regards to the customer journey, again, is that not everyone's ready to buy right away and some people are. So you have to have two types of calls of actions. The first one is direct call to action. So that's for those who are ready to buy today as soon as they land on the website. So some examples we have there is enroll today or call today or even buy now. And the transitional call to action is for those who might need a little bit more time to think it over, need a little bit more value added to the relationship, more trust to build. So that's kind of where we want to capture emails and kind of give them a kind of succession of emails to add value. So like say download our ebook, and that's kind of how you capture their emails in there. So it's, again, call to action is very important to kind of give them an action, kind of motivate to do something with your website.
Okay. Yeah, so that's like in the transitional call to action is geared towards the people that are not quite ready, but you want to capture. Like you can have a lot of people visiting your website, but if you don't know who they are, right? Like yeah, of course in your monthly reports, you know how many people they are. You may know where they're from, what city or what countries they're from, which is all very valuable information. But you don't have their email, of course, and that's probably a good thing. But so you want to capture it, like Katie said, like you want to capture those emails or those names. So now you have somebody that you can follow up with. And of course, we're not recommending that you're right away gonna phone them or you're gonna be on their case. No, we're talking about just starting a relationship, starting to date with this client, and maybe follow up in a few days with an email. Say, hey, thanks for downloading this ebook or this worksheet. Is there anything else we can help with? Or and kind of nurture that relationship with those clients. So that's really important. Your location, that seems very obvious, but it's a very important aspect, of course. You might mean that people need to find you. Now, it's also important for um, for Google as well, because Google actually has a lot of information about your business already, and they try to match up your business location with actually some of the other components that you may have, and make sure you're a legitimate business. So if there's a and that's one of the advantages, because there's a lot of talk about working from home right now, and actually people closing down their offices and all the staff working from home. And of course right now it makes sense, and everybody's helping out, try to get rid of COVID. But some people say, well, this is going to be the new normal, and I'm not so sure about that. Like there of course will be more flexibility maybe in people working from home, but a business address or an office address is actually really valuable asset for your company, because when it comes down to ranking your company with somebody else, and it's a home address versus somebody that's in a business district, and of course Google knows what is what, generally speaking. If you have a business locations, you will do better getting that search visibility, because now in Google's eyes you're a real business, which is of course not fair. but it's definitely, that's one aspect I think a lot of people haven't thought through, perhaps on how they deal with, the decision of closing down the office. So I still feel that the office is really important, the aspect of your overall marketing. So again, Google Maps, of course, is connected to everything, right? So if you have the right location on your website, probably you have a bigger chance to show up on Google as well. The NAP is kind of an acronym, I guess, name, address, phone number. That's another signal that search engines such as Google look at and make sure that the name and the address and the phone number even is all consistent, like over different platforms. So on your website, it's consistent with your, everybody has a yellow pages listing still, although you may not know, you've never looked at it, but you do. It's almost guaranteed. You have a Yelp listing. You probably have hundreds of different directories actually that your company is listed on. So one of the ranking factors that is known for Google is to say, well, how consistent is the name and the address and the phone number among all these different platforms. And again, it's a whole process to correct that if it's not the right information. But again, it's one of those signals that will help you to rank better on the search engines, which in my opinion and in our clients' opinion is probably the number one concern they have, right? If you do not show up online right now, your business is going to have a really hard time finding new clients unless you have a fantastic retail location and word of mouth is just driving your business, which is fantastic. But for most of the small businesses that we work with, that they need new clients because guess what? The clients disappear. You want to grow your business. So, and again, all these things that we talked about this morning have that ultimate goal in mind. So, mobile friendly. Again, that's a more technical aspect maybe of the website, but it's just make sure that your website shows up properly on a mobile phone. Like a lot of people are on their phones all the time, and they don't even perhaps own a desktop anymore. Like everything they do is mobile. So make sure that they give the best mobile experience. And again, the mobile friendly website is basically a website that morphs itself based on the size of the screen that you're viewing this website on. So they're not two different websites. There's actually one website, but it's built in such a way that as soon as it finds out, okay, well, you're on your iPhone or on your tablet, it's going to rearrange the way it looks. It still functions the same, but it just gives for a much better user experience for your clients. Again, like navigation on mobile is, of course, the screen is smaller. So some of the things you can do on a large desktop website, you can't really do on mobile. So you have to rethink that. You have to make sure that all these things are really, really easy for people to use. Phone numbers, for example, instead of having people to type that in, oftentimes on the cell phone, it's just a click on the link and they phone and dial the number, right? It may not seem like a big deal, but it's actually really appreciated by your customers because they love convenience. And if that's only one click for them and they're calling you, yeah, it's a pretty good chance that they're all gonna talk to you, right? Instead of just going to the next company that's out there. An added benefit of the mobile responsive mobile friendly version of your website is actually Google will actually put more emphasis on mobile results because they know too, of course, 60% or 70% now are just using mobile phones to browse the internet. So, the better you can make it, like they will actually give your website priority over somebody else if it's better optimized for mobile. Katie, Jason is just trying to get into the call again here. Okay, so then one more thing, and that has to do with like security and speed of your website. So again, a couple of years ago, Google started to clamp down on unsecure website. And again, I talk a lot about Google because they are definitely the main player in a lot of these things that we talk about, right? So security, a couple of years ago, they actually made it mandatory to have to make your website secure, even if you don't have any e-commerce transaction or share any personal information. Across the line, they've said every website needs to be secure. So again, maybe you have experience browsing to a website that has a warning sign comes up when you land on it, or it doesn't work quite properly. And that's basically Google saying, hey, this be careful because this website it's not secure. And again, you can argue if that's fair or not, but it's just a rule of need to live with by. So it's not hard to do. You can, and again, it's built into our process if you deal with us. But any web developer or a hosting company will should be able to take care of that for you. But sometimes you just have to either install that or you have to tell them to actually take care of that. So yeah, so like why is that important? Well, again, it creates trust. Like all these little signals, like a website that a warning comes up or something else, it's just, even if it's not a big deal to you, it may be a really big deal to your customer. So you want to make it as smooth as possible, right? So at this point, Jason, you want to add anything to the more technical items there? So we put you on the spot there a little bit, but
yeah, as far as like the security and speed things go, it is a pretty validating part of the internet nowadays, especially when it comes to like sending emails with contact forms, or even if you have like a payment gateway or something on your site for making like donations or transactions. So it's a lot of hosting nowadays will actually include free SSL, which is that security, that little padlock thing that you see in your browser when you're browsing the internet. And some other places are, oh yeah, they charge a premium for a special type of SSL certificate. If you ever have a question about that, just let us know, and I'm sure we can help sort that out.
yeah.
I just realized my camera was off. Yeah, there we are.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
It's almost like hotels used to charge for Wi-Fi, right? So
Yeah.
when this first came out, then some companies, they were hoping to make a couple extra dollars, but then fairly soon after, people were starting to expect to have that security symbol there, so they adapted, and it's basically like Jason says, it's included in your package. If not, then go find a different hosting company, I guess.
Yeah, they got to get with the times. Yeah.
Yeah, so I already talked about this a little bit, and Jason, maybe you can speak to this a little bit better than me as well. But the speed of the website is definitely, has always been an important aspect of everything. Like when Google looks at a site, of course they want to make sure it loads quickly on mobile, it loads quickly on a larger screen. Just because it gives a better user experience. Now, I already said this earlier, that it's a bit of a, like a trade-off between speed and functionality. Again, generally speaking, we can't just strip all the functionality out of a website and strip all the videos and images and just have a very plain kind of website that's may not be the best to use for people, just because for the sake of speed. So having said that, though, like Google is coming out with an update, so we've been working hard on making improvements, incremental improvements where we can. And we have a direct link with Google when it comes to this. We actually get that feedback directly from them. So Jason can go in at the back end of the site and actually see if there's any potential issues. They will actually let us know, which is really nice. And then we're able to address, because we can't always just fix something if we don't know what it is, right? So yeah, anything else you want to add to that? I think we're getting close to the hour here anyway. I want to allow some time for questions if anybody has a question. Plugins are another issue for a lot of websites that have too many plugins. They need all the plugins for the website to work, and yeah, that just slows down the overall load speed.